What's up, what's up, what's up? Good morning. I look like a douchebag with my headband on and my... Alright, let me get this all straight. There we go. Alright, a little bit better. It's your boy, the Riz Ragger, on a beautiful, beautiful morning here in lovely Bethlehem Town, PA. Heading off to my Jizzy for Rizzy. And it's just so beautiful today. I thought I'd look at the old Lehigh River, at the old steel mill where my dad works. I have to walk around that bad boy. My job's on the other side of it. But yeah, Polish Yankee. Cam Petey, that one's for you, buddy. Shooting a video. Kind of pissed at my landlord. Looks like I'm gonna be homeless again. But anyway, today doing a show, and yes, for all the Agtow brothers, I'm back on trying to turn. I don't really care who doesn't like me for it, and I don't care who says I'm a Agtow brother or not. I was Agtow long before there was a word called Agtow. I'll be here long after these videos and YouTube goes down and still being myself. I'll always be Agtow, no matter how many of you grimy ass, hive-minded niggas show up on my channel and hate. But I believe that while the trolls do a lot of trouble, now fucking what's his face? Cruiser, I think he can be turned. I think I can. I want to turn him. I'm sorry. I just want to do that. I want to see him rocking Agtow. He's fucking a sheep that's being used by our enemies, and I want to take that sheep and turn him into a lion. I don't know. But anyway, I've been calling his stupid ass fucking shows and hollering in. I'm worried about the kid, man. He looks fucked up on drugs. And genuinely, he's a man, dude. He's being taken advantage of. Like, the fact he's doing what he's doing is a cry out for help. And, you know, maybe he does need to be dealt with. Maybe leave him the fuck alone. I don't know. Didn't Jesus say something about loving your enemies? I don't know. I guess call me an asshole. Say I'm not a Agtow brother, but whatever. Okay. So, today we're going to talk about surnames. Nothing to do with any topic whatsoever. I wanted to talk about surnames. What's a surname? It's last names. Like, there was at one point where you were Bill the Butcher, or John from the hill over there, or Mary from Vienna, and, you know, that was how you were known. And then somewhere down the line, they got these fuddy-duddy little last names for tax purposes, right? So where did they come from? When did that start? I'll tell you when it started. It started with those people that I talk about so much that have such a boring name but are so dope. They really are like one of the dopest tribes of people ever in like the periods of history ever. The Normans, the Norman conquest, is what gave us last names. Now, what was the Norman conquest, you ask? For those of my Agtow brothers who are history buffs, you might need to just turn this right off because you probably already know all this information. But for those of you who don't know, I'm going to break it down. All right, now, we've all heard of the Viking Age, right? In Europe. There was basically, started in Lindisfarne, 792, first Viking attack. Lindisfarne's it was a monastery on a big stretch of land out in the water. The Vikings just showed up, kicked ass, destroyed the whole fucking place, took everything, and were ghosts in seconds. And they're like, damn, this is so easy. We could just make a living out of this. So they did, and that's what Vikings did. That's what Viking means. To go a Viking in their own language, a Vik is a bay, a Vik. So to go Viking is to go from bay to bay to bay and like raid every village you see and beat the shit out of everyone. That's what Viking means. So they did this so often and so much that all of Europe was scourged. And, you know, again, 792, so 800 AD is really when the Viking Age kicks off. It goes for about 200 years. Early on in that process, I think it was a Viking named Rollo. He just kept attacking France so much. The king of France eventually said to him, look, all you Normans keep coming here, you Northmen, you Normans, you just keep coming here and fucking like sacking us and taking our shit. Look, can you stop? I'll tell you what, if you stop beating us up, I'll give you some land over there, over to the west. there is some land. You can have it. You just have to answer to me and become Christian. And the Vikings said, all right, we'll take that deal. So, and in fact, so many Normans moved to that new land in France that they called it Normandy. And it's still to this day called Normandy. It's just south of Britain, across the channel, right? So, there's no king of Normandy, but there's dukes. Duke means number 2 guy in Latin. And so they I think Rollo was like 850s AD, 870s, but by like 100 years later, 2 or 3 generations later, they forgot how to speak Viking and they only spoke French. They were hardcore Catholics. They went from being Viking, like wild ass like raiders that like wore fur and shit, to like the most like disciplined shock troop in Europe or in the world at the time. They sacked Constantinople, Sicily, they had one of the biggest countries, like, I'm getting ahead of myself. They did a lot of stuff, the Normans. They were a big part of a fucking sacking of Jerusalem, the Crusades, all that shit. They were nasty. They were the nastiest troops of their age. So, one of them, the most famous of all, was named William. He was the Duke, and his dad was the Duke, but he was a bastard, so he was known as William the Bastard. He was the only son. His dad didn't have a legitimate son, so he had to go with the bastard as the heir. So William was known as William the Bastard. And the king died in England. Edward the Confessor, his name was. He was one of the last Anglo-Saxon kings, and he was a very pious king. And he was really into God and stuff, and everybody dug him. And he died. And he kind of had a dude that was running his empire for him. It was like a godfather named Earl Godwin. And then Earl Godwin died right before the king died. So his son Harold Godwinson claimed that Edward the Confessor named him the King of England. William the Bastard said, nah, I'm the rightful King of England. A dispute broke out. William the Bastard got all his ducks in a row. He built ships, he got horses, he got meat, he got barrels of ale, everything he needed to attack Britain, and he did. And the Normans attacked, sacked, and in 1066, if you've ever heard of the Norman Conquest, they beat the shit out of Harold Godwin's son. That was the end of Anglo-Saxon kings in Britain, and then the Norman rule took over, and it never went away ever. They've never left. Those guys with the big furry hats, those are the descendants of berserkers, the shock troops of Viking kings. Like the nastiest fucking troops that the Vikings had. Like everything about Britain, the way they built their castles, it's all Norman. The London Tower, that's a Norman building. Okay? So once they took over England, he went from being William the Bastard to William the Conqueror, and he became William the First of England. Right? There's going to be the Queen Elizabeth's going to die soon. Then you got Prince Charles, his pussy ass will be on the throne for a while. And then you'll have Prince William. I think he'll be William the Fourth, William the Fifth. I don't know what William are on. But William the First was William the Conqueror. Right now we're walking by a bar called the Steel Pub. I used to play here. If any of you go to my Facebook page, there's pictures of me playing opening night music fest here 2013. Boy, we killed that night. And I was slated to play here opening night 2014, but I got locked up. Nah. That was a shitty music fest because I was all booked and I couldn't play. So there's a Steel Pub. And plus they don't hire young people's bands anymore. They don't like young people partying there. Only baby boomer music now. So that's what that little tent is. They didn't have that before. It was wide open when we used to run the open mics out here. Fuck the Steel Pub. Alright, so back to William the Conqueror. He conquers England. He's like, I'm gonna do this right. And he not only did he bring his army of men, he brought an army of bookkeepers. And he took stock of everything. Every cow, duck, fence, house, shed, rake, hammer, everything laying around fucking Britain he took stock of and inventory of. Because now he owned it all. And he would partition it out to his troops. That was their reward for helping him conquer it. And for the next 200 years, the British aristocracy only spoke French, which is why in English, like all the Anglo-Saxon words are low words. Words like cow and pig are Anglo-Saxon words. Words like beef and roast or something like that, or ham, or I forget what the word, pork and roast and beef, they're all like fucking French names. Brazier, garage, butler, maitre d', everything that's fancy schmancy in the English language is in French. Because while English was forming, its aristocracy only spoke French, and its lower class spoke the English. Wouldn't be till King Henry V, till an English king started spitting out some English. English. It was all Francais up until then, you feel me? So, he took stock of everything in Britain, and that was when he made people start having last names. So, if you didn't have one already, like, for instance, the guy he defeated, his dad's name was Harold Godwin. The custom in Norse and German society was, all right, your son, his name is officially Godwin's son. And then his son will be somebody else to have another name, and on and on and on and on, I guess. But from that point on, nah, your last name is Godwin's son? All right, that's your last name forever. And then it stuck. All right, and if some of the names were where you're from, what village you were from. So you got people with names whose last names are things like Devonshire or Hampton or something, right? Then you got guys that have names that are professions like Reeve and Smith, and that's a popular one. You know, Anderson, that's a son, that was once, somebody was the son of Ander or Andrew. You know what I mean? And that's how that name came. So that's where all the names come from. They come from the Viking, the 1060s. And then that spread, that method of keeping records and bookkeeping and running your kingdom, that it seemed to spread like wildfire. And it caught around Europe and then the rest of the world. And now you have last names, surnames, given to you by William the Conqueror. And the name of the book that he kept is called Doomsday. Well, it's called Domesday, but it really means Doomsday. Like the day that he conquered Britain, that was the day of doom for the whole shindig. My name's Romantz. I'm walking through the ruins. That's the 1860s mill. That's like that was the mill during the 1800s. But right over here, that's the big one. That's the 20th century one. That's the one my daddy worked in, and so did everyone else's daddy here and everyone in the world. And Billy Joel must have known somebody from high school and wrote a song about it called Allentown. If you ever want to hear the story of the steel mill, just listen to Billy Joel. Look for a song called Allentown. Bye. My name is Romantz. Peace.